1 to 6 month preventative maintenance. The frequency in which you perform these procedures will depend on the humid environment and moisture in your airlines. Remove your expandable rim by first detaching the 2 air supply hoses. Continue by unlocking the tabs and pulling gently on the rim to remove. Disconnect one of the 2 springs. The rear one is recommended. Gently pull the spring out and set it aside. Remove your paddles one at a time by pulling straight up until they're completely out of the paddle slot. Then turn the paddle 180 degrees and allow the spring side to rest on the hub before continuing on to remove the next paddle. This will make removing the ring of paddles from the hub easier. Once all the paddles are removed, pull the collection gently away from the hub, making sure to free any of the paddles that may get bound up by the locking pins. Take the front cover of the hub off by loosening the cover screws, but leaving them seated in the holes. Once all the screws are completely loosened, pull the hub's cover away from the hub about 6 to 8 inches. Then remove the loosened hub cover screws completely and set them aside. Pull the cover out straight, taking care not to bend the inner shaft. Once the cover and shaft assembly is pulled out completely, gently set it aside and remove the cone. To remove the cone, insert a finger into the shaft opening of the cone, being careful not to injure yourself. And with the other hand, grasp the narrow tip of the cone and gently work the cone out of the hub chamber. Once removed, set the cone aside on its wide base, cone pointing upward.
Using a cloth or shop rag, wipe away any excess marine grease.
Using a 3M Scotch pad or any fine-grain emery paper to gently rub the inner walls of the hub chamber, removing any loose dirt and debris. Polishing the inside will help remove any possible corrosion. The finished wall should feel ultra smooth without any corrosion to interfere with the airtight seal needed for the cone. The cone will also need to be smoothed out by the same method.
Using a cloth or shop rag, wipe away any excess marine grease.
Use the same type of pad to smooth the outer surface of the cone. The paddles have made contact with this surface, and the area in which they have ridden may be visible as long lines running along the length of the cone. Apply special attention to these areas to ensure they are very smooth to the touch. Once the cone surface is clean and smoothed, pick up the cone, turning it on its side. You may find it easier to rest it on a towel or a soft surface like your lap or knee. Then smooth the flat outer surface where the rubber seal is. Once this is very smooth to the touch, physically and visibly inspect the rubber seal itself for cracks and defects. If defects do appear in the large outer rubber seal, or in either one of the smaller inner seals at the tapered end of the cone, then contact us to obtain a seal kit to replace the defective seal.
Lubricate the outside of the cone using the Hub Lube marine grease, taking care to apply an even coating overall. Continue by spreading an equal amount on the large seal as well as reaching inside the tapered end to lubricate the small seal. The inside of the hub will need lubrication also by again spreading an even coating of marine grease on the interior. Complete the process by applying lubrication to the center shaft insertion point. Make sure to apply it evenly.
Insert the cone back into the hub chamber, tapered end facing you. Picking up the cone by inserting a finger and supporting the weight of the cone with the other hand at the base will help the lube coating remain undisturbed. Now reinstall the cone. To reinstall the cone, carefully align the outer base with the hub chamber opening. Holding the tapered end securely, begin to apply pressure to the larger outer rubber seal located at the base of the cone. It should then be gently eased into the chamber until it comes to rest on the back wall of the hub chamber. Locate the shaft and hub cover assembly.
The shaft will also need lubrication using the Hub Lube marine grease. With a rag or paper towel, apply with an even coating along the entire length.
Insert the shaft and hub cover assembly into the tapered opening of the cone, using extra caution as to not bend the shaft. Once in place, insert the hub cover screws into the appropriate holes. Make sure each screw is started by hand prior to using any air wrench or ratchet. Apply hub lube to the collection of paddles. To do this properly, take hold of the spring-bound collection of paddles and prepare the paddles for lubricating by orienting the slanted edge, the opposite end to where the spring is attached, to point in an upward direction. Start with one paddle and move on one paddle at a time until ultimately every paddle is lined up next to each other in a stack with the slanted ends lined up relatively flush to one another. Once the stack of paddles is even and orderly, inspect the slanted surfaces. These are the edges that ride on the cone within the hub. They should be free of dirt and debris. If necessary, wipe the surface down with a gloved hand or cloth to help remove any debris, using a 3M Scotchgard pad or emery paper to further remove any rough areas and refine the smooth surface.
Apply the hub lube with a cloth or rag by smearing it on the paddle edge that makes contact with the cone. Be sure to apply evenly and thoroughly.
Insert them back into the hub one at a time. Begin by inserting 2 paddles into the hub, aligning the paddles so that the slanted side rests inside the hub and the narrowest portion of the paddle points to the rear of the hub. Then expand the spring to surround the hub. Continue to insert the paddles in sequence around the hub, making sure the locking pins are facing the outside or cone-like end of the hub. Once the paddles are in place, insert the rear spring into the outermost holes and thread the spring through each paddle, eventually reattaching the spring ends when they meet. Once the spring is reattached, check to make sure the locking tabs are unlocked. Reinstall the rim onto the hub, making sure that the airline couplers on the rim are facing the airlines on the hub. The rim must be positioned so when the air hoses are connected, they have as much slack as possible to accommodate the distance required for expanding. Once the hub is in place and airlines are connected properly, lock the locking pins on the rim and expand your rim. Once the rim is expanded, Physically and visibly check to ensure the locking pins are locked and secure. Deflate the rim.
Thanks again for your purchase. And remember, if for any reason you should need replacement parts or technical assistance that is not covered in this video, please contact us at 800-223-4540 or on the web at www.tsissg.com.